Good evening, Cabinet and General Members of PAA. My name is Bianca Ventura Marcos, and tonight I proudly present myself before you as your candidate for Chief of Staff for the 2026-2027 academic school year. I have previously served simultaneously as your Director of Filipino Culture Night and Cultural Dance Coordinator with my respective former co's. Within large-scale event coordination, in correlation with teaching, mentoring, and facilitating, these roles allowed me to showcase culture through dance, performances, and discussions. As your current Director of Friendship Games, I, alongside my co, have cultivated a welcoming and upbeat environment that remains memorable for our members. The loss of FG40 and NorCal FG turned into a learning opportunity for our members. We showcased our attention to detail and our transparency to create a stage for participants to explore leadership via Gauntlet, and allowing our interns to take initiative with their own sporting events from our own intern curriculum. My roles in Cabinet granted me the opportunity to work with different dynamics, more so those that may conflict with my perspective, to gain more insight as to who I can cater to as a leader. Whether it be through a CMCD performance, FG practice, or general meeting, Cabinet has shown me many opportunities to put my best foot forward for the people who care about our values. Through many trials and tribulations, my experience in PAA has always centered around one theme: connections with the community. This club has shaped me in various ways and helped me become the leader I am today. So moving forward, I aim for members and Cabinet to give a gaffe about our organization. What do I mean by this? Genuinity. Mental checkpoints throughout the year will serve as a reminder of why we do what we preach, which is what allows us to stay grounded in the goals we set for ourselves. We can better connect with our community as well as extend ourselves to others who are open to learning our values as individuals for our organization. Advocacy. Opening town hall meetings for feedback and suggestions from our general body creates that space for members to let their ideas be heard while educating each other on our viewpoints, which can help us engage and reflect on the betterment of our mission to serve the people. Flexibility. We as Cabinet hold ourselves at a high standard with even higher ambitions. Collaboration amongst our leaders looked like implementing opportunities such as culture corners, academic or professional workshops, and collaborative events with other orgs for members to learn something new that fits well within their skill set and capacities. With these in mind, giving a gaffe is a reminder to our Cabinet of their whys and purpose of their service to our general body. At the end of the day, the end goal is to be that supporting beacon for our club. The love shared throughout the club is what keeps me going and inspires me to be a leader for our leaders. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight. Serbisyo para sa tao palagi. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Kyle. Your first question. I motion to open questions.
Second.
Your first question is reserved by the current Chief of Staff, Tracy Cal.
Hello and congratulations. My question for you. All three of your cabinet positions have been with a co, two of which are older and more experienced than you. And this is a two-part question. One, how do you envision yourself to be a role model for other cabinet members as you are running for an Eboard position? And two, how do you envision working with the prospective Eboard who have equal amount of experience?
Thank you for your questions, Waki. With my experience as past event coordinators with different co's, I've taken a lot of different perspectives from those roles and duties, such as like event coordination, communication, time management, and sorry, can you elaborate more on that first part, please?
The first part, my first question was, how do you envision yourself to be a role model for other cabinet members?
So taking everything that I've learned from my past cabinet roles, I want to be able to translate that through Chief of Staff by what I mentioned with my vision of doing mental checkpoints with our cab and allowing them to grow as they need with whatever pace they need to take, and with our general body extending things such as culture corners and workshops for professional development or academic development, so that they can also take away what I've learned as well from different perspectives. And your second question?
How do you envision yourself working with the prospective prospective Eboard members who have both an equal amount of experience as you?
I think with my prospective e-board, as long as we're always communicating with each other and keeping ourselves in check, if one of us is slipping, the other can always step up with whatever we need to do. And we always remind ourselves of our whys and our connecting point, which is to serve the people.
Thank you. Hello, good job. So last year we had a conversation about your leadership and your long-term goals. Using examples, can you show how you have grown since then?
I think different ways I've grown as a leader can be seen through my past roles, such as PCN. I think Angelo and we were having a rough time planning PCN as we were both double cabinet members, as well as our our co's were also double cabinet members, so it's a very hard struggle to balance everything. But despite that, we took a deep breath and made sure we were taking things step by step. With FG, there was a lot of planning that was supposed to go to friendship games. However, we did not achieve that because FG was canceled. So it was really just how can we redirect our goals and how can we better serve our members through those goals. And that's what we wanted to do with NorCal FG. And even if that didn't go through, we still saw the love and passion that people still had for FG despite not having an event.
Hello,
I take a jump in your speech. My question is for you is that not only are you running for chief of staff, but you are a prospective e-board member for next semester. And seeing as the cabinet e-board are often the members of the cabinet that we look up to and we look for guidance when we need help, how do you plan to support other members of cabinet as a part of e-board, and how do you plan to balance that out with your other duties that are specific to chief of staff?
So as chief of staff, one of my goals is through genuinity is to have mental checkpoints. So while we have our bi-weekly check-ins throughout the semester, I also want to implement check-ins during winter breaks just so that we can get our footing early on so that we're not scrambling towards the end, like towards the later end of the semester when our events are getting closer, because that's what I tend to see with current and past cabinets. We have a set vision, but we don't know when to exactly start. So I think implementing that seed early on would help us. And then what's the second part of your question?
it was like, how do you plan to balance out supporting other cabinet members with your duties that are specific to chief of staff only?
I think as long as I am transparent with what I can do and what are my capabilities of the day, while also keeping in mind what I have to do versus what I can help delegate to other people so that not only other people are burning out, I don't want to burn myself out and I won't be able to support them.
Hello, Kai, I'm so proud of you. One of my favorite qualities about you is how headstrong you can be. However, at times, this can cause tension with other cabinet members. Moving forward, as a prospective e-board member, how will you balance your stubbornness with understanding?
I think something that I've reflected in myself is that when I'm stubborn, I tend to speak before I say. So just reminding myself that I can just take a step back, fully reflect on what is being showed to me, and then having that calm and thoughtful conversation to understand everyone's perspective so that things aren't moving on a whim and we don't want to deal with bigger consequences than it should be.
Hello again. Many people, when they run for their position, they reference things they participate in to bring in something new to the club. Keeping that in mind, how does your life outside of PAA influence your ability to approach this new position?
I'd like to say that my life outside of PAA is just mainly how I conduct myself academically. And while I don't have much experience in other orgs outside of PAA, I do want to branch out, such as joining or reaching out to Psi Chi, which is the honor society for psychology majors, and hopefully taking whatever I learned from there to our members, because I know a lot of our members have different priorities with like their majors, what they want to do professionally, and with whatever I want to do outside of PAA, to bring it to them so that they have other resources that they can lean on and not just PAA. Because PAA is just a branch, it is not our whole life.
Hi. Currently, PAA inventory is spread across cabinet members' residences. What are your thoughts on this? Because there have been conflicting opinions in the past on whether this should be something that we do, and there have also been arguments of PAA storage being held at an off-campus site.
While there may be some conflicts with residencies used as storage, I think it's both beneficial but also not as beneficial, because I think for some positions such as FG, I think it's easier to have their own supplies, easy access to them, while for other things that might be archival or just miscellaneous things, I think it just might be a hindrance to whoever's living there. So that would be a conversation with whoever is financial if we want to go back to using a storage garage for whatever things that we don't need like immediately.
As Chief of Staff, you are the face of our general meetings, you lead our general meetings, and you are the visible connection we see between the general members and cabinet, and as well as their updates. That being said, what is your plan on educating our members towards more cultural aspects within said general meetings?
So as I said with my campaign of giving a gaff, I said I wanted to reintroduce culture corners, because I saw that's something that we did in the past. However, it's not as touched on. And while I could be mainly leading these culture corners, I want to also collaborate with other officers to see how their duties, such as like FG or PCN, ties into the general culture of Filipino and Philam communities.
Hi, guys. Good job on your speech. Something I wanted to ask was, why did you choose Chief of Staff? I know in the beginning of when you first got here, you were so adamant on being exec or president, because that's what you kind of did in high school. What kind of like changed your mind?
Yes, I did express interest in running for executive for the longest time. However, as I was growing through my roles in PCN, cultural, and FG, I've learned skills that can better fit as a future chief of staff rather as executive, and it's still in a way pushing my boundaries while still being in touch with my skill set.
What is something that you would do differently from the current and past co-sign?
I think it's just retouching on like culture corners and just having it be more interactive. Like it doesn't have to always be at general meetings. It could be detoxing or low energy, low maintenance workshop that we can do like on the sideline, just to like still have some recruitment with members and still also draw them into our general meetings.
I motion for more time.
What do you bring into cabinet?
I think I bring a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of cultural knowledge, while I'm also still open to learning a lot of new things, because things are always changing around the world. But I think I can bring a lot of enthusiasm to uplift our cabinet and our general body, and to also teach them something new every day during our cabinet meetings, during our practices, whatsoever, so that they always have something fresh whenever they come to our spaces.
Hello. What is the purpose of cabinet meetings, and what is the purpose of cabinet meetings for building a team environment? To you.
I think the purpose of our cabinet meetings is just understanding where we are and what we want to accomplish with our members. That's why I wanted us to emphasize our whys and why we're doing these for our people, like why do we practice so hard for FG? Why do we have these social events? Why are we so serious about our compy seasons? So with our cabinet meetings, it's just like understanding where we're at and how we can support each other as both Eboard and as cab members.
Hi Kai, great speech. My question for you is, knowing that you would serve both cabinet and the general body, how will you balance making sure cabinet members feel heard, but more importantly, that our general members feel represented and heard too?
So that's what I was talking about during advocacy in my campaign, is that having those open town hall meetings just to talk about what we do as cabinet and being open to feedback to what the general members want from us. Because at the end of the day, we are serving our body, servicio sa tao, so it's whatever they want, we can always find ways to cater within our own skill sets.
Hi. Could you elaborate on what you mean by interactiveness during general meetings? And for my second part, I'll ask my second later.
Just interactiveness, it's just like encouraging other members to just like join in and with our activities, because I know some people tend to just be on the sidelines, not really doing much. So just like as little as just like having smaller conversations with them and just like creating those connections might help them feel more inclined to creating more connections.
For my second part, Culture Corner has been done in the past. I'm asking, I know I didn't do it this year, but I'm asking for something completely different. Is there anything you would change, something you would implement?
I think I would like to collaborate with public relations to have different things to be posted on our Instagram so that in a way we're still interacting with our members and also to other organizations, especially in the digital era. Everyone is online. So like having little infographics about current events or having infographics or just like photo dumps of what we do and why we do them.
Hello. Hi, Ate. You're doing so great. I just wanted to ask, like, a general question. What is your biggest weakness, and how do you think? What's your biggest weakness, and how do you think you can or you can change?
I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I can elaborate more on it. But my biggest weakness would be just not fully flushing out my thoughts before saying them. I tend to speak before I say, and sometimes consequences can come from that. So one thing I can do to mitigate that is just really just like taking a deep breath, really analyzing what is being talked about, understanding all the details that is being put out into this before preaching my ideas and seeing how we can collaborate and compromise that.
Hello, Kai. You're doing so great. What is something about the current chief of staff who would actually like to take it to CAB if you were elected next year?
Something they currently do? I would definitely like to take the weekly check-in or bi-weekly check-ins. I like to take the bi-weekly check-ins because for me personally, it was very helpful to see someone from Eboard cares about our well-being and seeing how we are and how they can support us. It also is like a mental check-in on like what I have to do, reminders of why I do these things. So I want to bring that to future CAB.
Hello, Kai. Off of what you just said about being there for other people, if you yourself are mentally checked out, how would you be able to have enough energy to give to others, and how would you say have the capacity, and how would you word what you want to say to people without showing your...
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to be transparent with my e-board, with the rest of cabinets, by saying, hey, this is where I'm at. This is all I can give for now, but into the next events, that's where I want to double and make up for what I lost in the past.
Hi, great speech. As Eboard, when a cabinet member is consistently not meeting expectations, at what point do you step in more firmly, and what does that actually look like?
It's first gonna look like just like casual check-ins, just like say, hey, where are you at? What can we do to support you? And then just like little checkpoints in between, just to make sure that like, you know, they're following their expectations. However, if they are not, that's when we're gonna have a formal sit down and like really understand why they're not meeting their expectations as they should be. And putting my foot down is like, it would be if we need to take some things out, or if we need to fully address this to whoever needs to be addressed.
Hypothetically, 2 or more cabinet members are bringing personal conflicts into the PAA cabinet space, creating tension and an uncomfortable work environment. How would you go about mediating conflict?
I think that is when I would talk with Eboard or whoever it is brought up to, just to understand that first before coming to the involving parties, and asking them like what's going on, just like in general, like their check-ins, and if they're able to, just as long as they're able to set aside their personal conflict and keeping things professional, because that is not what we're here for. We are here to serve other people rather than just like wasting time on whatever conflict they have.
Hi, Tim. You really are doing well. My question is that you grew up in a very strong Filipino background your whole life, but many people join our club to connect to the culture for the first time. How do you plan on relating to those people?
I want to be able to relate to those people by not only sharing my own experiences, but directing them to people who have similar experiences. I don't want to overshadow what they have, like, oh, because I did this, you weren't able to experience this and this and that, if that makes sense. So directing them to people who have similar experiences and hopefully seeing their connection will solidify them into our club, if that answers your question.
We have just over a minute left, but I just wanted to ask, how do you plan on growing within this role?
I'm always very open to new ideas, new suggestions, so I do have my my goals out for myself as well as for Eboard and CAB, and if there's any tweaking that needs to be made throughout the year, I'm always very open to that, and of course very open to whatever the general cabinet or the general body has to say, and whatever they want, I will do my best to give to them.
Are there any other questions? If not, I motion to close questions. Thank you.